We're recording. Let me
Okay.
pull up my notes because I can never do anything without my notes. Welcome, my friends, and welcome back to the Krieg Dominion. I am Omar Krieg, and I have absolutely not had a bad day all day today, and I'm just barely holding it in there right now. I'm actually in a great mood, can't you tell? This smile is 100% not genuine whatsoever. I am Omar Krieg, your Lord and Commander of the Krieg Dominion, and your host for this Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader Tithes of Acheron, Episode 3 of Segmentum 2nd of Crowns and Scepters. And with me are, of course, my wonderful Grimdark players, Arturios, Warner, Darius, and Rev. And I just now realized that is almost the exact opposite order of what we're going to do here in just a second. But let's take a moment to check in with everybody, see what's new and exciting for them over the last month or so, while I gather what little remains of my sanity in order to present a good role-playing game session tonight. This is all facetiousness. I'm actually in a decent mood for the moment until Rev starts talking again. Rev, what's new and exciting for you?
Silence.
I noticed. It's like, wow, wow, he took that lesson to heart, didn't he?
Well, my headset did die.
Okay. The timing is auspicious, I won't lie.
I walked into the other room to get my food out of the oven, and my headset died, and I went, oh. Occasionally, it does not beep me. I'm assuming that I was asked what is new with me this week.
Yes.
Correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the radar discoveries at the Great Pyramid in Giza, we can now say that what I've learned about Tartaria is true, and it's not actually a pyramid, but an obelisk that was buried in the Great Mud Flood. More to come on my podcast tomorrow.
Podcast.
I hope that my face-palming gesture over here is evidence enough that there is no podcast, nor any sort of sincerity or factual accuracy in anything that Rev has just said.
Rev's Views Reviews. That's the name of the podcast.
Darius,
how dare you?
We're moving
how dare
on.
you
We're moving
impugn
on.
Tartaria?
We're moving on. The only Tartar I know is fake, and perhaps something related to Spartans, but I'm not sure. Darius, what's new and exciting with you, my friend?
I think that's a tartan.
That's Scottish.
Yeah,
It's a
whatever.
kilt, sicko.
It's a white sauce you put on fish.
That's tartar sauce. Anyway, Jesus Christ, we're going to be here all night with this dumb joke. Go ahead, Darius, please help us.
Let's see. Prepping for Enter, Ohio.
Ah, yes. The convention's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yep. Went to see the hotel that they just switched to today, which is why I was a little bit late.
Sure.
And then that's about it so far.
Alrighty. Octarios, you seem to be the light at the end of the tunnel. That reminds me that even in my darkest moments, there is a possibility of hope. Please help us. What do you got for us today?
No.
Once again, an Octarios zinger for you, folks.
We are. I'm playing MechWarrior 5 with a group of people, so
Cool.
Nice.
getting many mods reinstalled, and turns out my mods haven't been touched since 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of updates. I had to download 23 gigs of data.
Jesus.
That's a lot of mods.
Yeah. It is. Holy cow.
Moderately modded.
Yeah.
We're just gonna pretend Rev didn't say that. Can we
But I
edit
did-
that
but
out
I
in
did-
post? I think
I
we
did
can
say
edit that out
moderately
in post.
modded.
We can edit that out in post.
I didn't hear a thing he said.
It's gonna be my new tagline. We can edit that out in post. Anytime Rev says anything.
Implying that you have post-processing.
I don't, except I upload a video that was recorded in the RAW straight to YouTube, and I don't do a damn thing with it except throw a title card on it.
I just questioned
Hurrah!
reprocessing.
You just question what?
Reprocessing.
I don't know what you're talking about. Warner, you're my only hope.
So, in news that is new to me, though apparently a little bit old, I found out that the F-15 Eagle continues on its trajectory to become the fighter equivalent of the B-52, the war asset that never dies.
Can't
Ah,
stop,
you,
won't stop.
you just found out about the new upgrade program, huh?
The F-15EX,
Uh-huh.
apparently the briefings suggest that it can take on 5th gen fighters even without stealth,
Okay.
which is pretty freaking impressive. And since it's an awful lot cheaper to manufacture and maintain than stealth
Yes.
fighters,
Yes.
odds are very good that a contingent of some kind of Eagle may be kept on for the next 50 years. The B-52, for those of you who aren't aware, because you're not giant nerds like me, but who's kidding? You're watching this, you're a giant nerd.
There's many different flavors of nerd, though.
But yeah, the B-52's been in service since World War II
Yes, it has.
and is still in service today, more than half a
And
century later.
recently, in the last year or two, received a major upgrade to some sort of weapon capability system. I don't know any of the particulars because I don't pay much attention to it. But didn't it just receive recently?
Yes.
And by recent, I mean within the last year or so, some
Mhm.
major upgrade that allowed it to carry a new weapons package or weapons delivery system or something like that.
Yes, indeed. It did, in fact, because it's just too effective, cost effective, capable of a system for the military to get rid of it, even though it's old.
Yeah.
So,
I hate to be that nerd,
God.
but the B-52 wasn't in service in World War II.
oh,
I think he's actually right because I think it was the 20s, like the 20 this, 20 that series of bombers, and then the 52 came out sometime in like the 50s. I think. Don't quote me because I'm also not that kind of a nerd.
It literally came out in 52. It's easy to remember.
Well, that makes it so much more convenient. Usually we don't use that sort of a naming convention except for like Russian tanks. I'm sorry, Soviet tanks like the T-60 and the T-72, the T-84, and the T-92. No, T-90. That was me just making a ridiculous
it
military
was
history joke.
developed during World War II.
That might be more accurate, and I'm not an expert to know. I literally mean that may be.
Actually, the contract bid started in 1946.
As he reads this off of a fucking wiki page, I'm sure.
I did. When I correct someone, I like to make sure I'm not wrong, so I did.
But you used a wiki as your verification.
I thought Curtis LeMay was all into it in 45.
LeMay, like the trash company?
Whatevs. I can be wrong.
Listen,
It's
hold
happened
on.
before.
Hold on. I
happen
may
again.
have just offended an entire like family of people that I don't need to be offending. I am just making a joke when I
still
say
old,
that.
It is old.
I am having internet connection problems.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say it sounded like your voice just decided to stop working for a second.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm currently reconnecting in the stream. This is actually moderately
It looked like the
annoying.
table was up. Yeah, the table's back up already.
Yeah, it was literally. It looks like it was a internet hiccup.
These things
Coming to
happen.
cancel you.
Yeah. Now we're still. I mean, we're still recording and everything. So, and the stream has apparently come back up. Mostly, it seems.
What most interests me, though, as far as we're talking about like upgrading bombers while we're getting the stream and the recordings going, turning the C-130 into a missile platform actually interested me.
Well, the C-130 can carry a variety of things, so why not missiles?
Yeah.
What they basically figured out is if missiles are smart enough now, they can put a whole bunch of them in a rack, like they would be transporting them from one place to another, with a parachute on it. But instead of getting all the way to their destination and letting something else fire it, they can simply kick it out the back of the C-130 and have it launch the missiles as it parachutes to the ground at their targets.
That's pretty cool.
So, for those that may or may not have been connected to the stream, we're back. And we're going to continue where we are. And if this happens again, we're going to keep going as best we can until I finally just give up. Basically, I'll give up when I actually actively have to do something to restart the internet or the stream or whatever. I don't know what's going on. Excuse me. I know we've had some breeziness lately, but I don't know if that's necessarily what's causing my internet hiccup problems. At any rate,
Your
we're
cat's
still
playing with your Ethernet cable.
no, I would know if he was. And if he
I
was,
like how you paused to check.
well, mostly to see where he was. But also, if he's anywhere near the Ethernet cable, that means he's also incredibly close to the really loose power cable. Yeah, which will dump everything. And when I say everything, it dumps the computer, it dumps the monitor, it dumps the light next to my table, it dumps the modem, it dumps.
To be fair, I'm most concerned about the phrase "loose power cable."
Well, when I say loose power cable, to be clear, it's the socket. But whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Previously on Tithes of Acheron, of Scepters, of Crowns and Scepters, having braved the Immaterium once more on their return from Magoros and the wreck of the Righteous Path, our crew had arrived on footfall to close out their dealings with both the Casbalica and the local Inquisitor, the Lady Inquisitor Ordo Zeno Sabrina. Oh my god, Sabrina Andrymos. I don't know why I put so many words in there that almost didn't really flow very well. Satisfied with the closing of those deals, Lord Captain Borgudio, I don't even know if I said it, I did.
Borgudio.
Yeah, whatever. Van Breeze Gizbath then took the unprecedented step of removing a rival rogue trader permanently. And now we stand on the precipice of more adventure and investigations into the Expanse, as word has been received of losing astropathic communications between Footfall and the Van Breeze domain world of Achelos, which is a severing in the which is a severing in the communications between the domain and the rest of the galaxy. I believe.
Yeah, the short version of that is that I fell. It was great.
Yes, and then we learned that the telephone lines were disconnected and the phone call was not coming from inside the house. What? Oh, that was a different thing. So I am aware of acquisition rolls and then jaunting off the warp. Does that seem about accurate?
Sure.
All right, Rev. I feel like I've stepped on your toe and now you're sad.
No. I was about to ask.
I thought we had
If ev-
acquisition rolls last time.
You're getting
did.
another one because you may spend the next couple sessions in a position where you won't get acquisition rolls.
Oh, okay.
And I'm asking. I know everybody got the info. Does everyone have personal acquisitions they want to make, or do we want to try to knock out a couple of the ship and crew acquisitions?
Oh, like the assault las rifles?
We
We found something else.
Oh, we did? You did? They did? Other pronouns
we
did?
did.
That was a really bad joke. I'm sorry.
We're gonna cancel you.
I would like
Wow,
to.
it's not like
once
I
again,
really should not be tempting fate by saying things. It's not like I'm monetized anyway.
So the first thing I'm asking from everybody
Yeah.
is, do you want to do a personal acquisition, or do you want to help upgrade something for the crew? And if you don't know something for the crew off the top of your head, I can help with that because I have a chart.
Alterios, you still have not reconnected to the table, FYI.
Reinhardt missed out on the light power armor last time,
He
and
did.
he's going to try it again.
Do you remember the numbers by chance?
I do, in fact, remember the
They're
numbers.
kind of low. It's like a 33 or something silly like.
It was
And I think that included the fate point.
No, it was a 48 with the plus 10 from the fate point.
Okay,
It was a
okay.
38 before the plus 10.
Gotcha. So I wasn't.
Speaking of which, the fate point is being spent to bring it up to a 48
Indeed.
because best quality light power armor.
Let's see what this roll looks like and see how
Oh, praise RNGesus.
let's see what kind of fate point usage we get here. Oh. That's a 93, my friend. Would you like to
That's
re-roll
gonna
that?
be another fate point spent because ain't nobody got time for that.
And you really
I
want
might
that light power
fail
armor.
this. I might fail this anyway.
I mean, you're basically on a 50-50, so you
But
might
I
as
don't
well.
want a 93 to be what I failed it on.
That's fair. 91. 90.
What the actual ever-loving crap?
Hey,
I even waited.
There was an improvement.
I even waited.
Ah,
This dice roller hates me unless I'm killing orcs.
you know what?
And
I'm okay with that,
and
to be honest.
NPCs.
I'm okay with that mostly. If you're killing orcs and NPCs, at least you're doing your job.
Yay.
Yeah, you might not be looking
Actually,
good.
part of that has to do purely with optimization and me knowing that the dice hate me and not giving them room to F me over.
Yeah. Yes. Well, to each their own. All right, who else is making an acquisition roll here?
I am still trying to figure out if I'm going to make a personal or a crew acquisition.
Alturios.
Give me a second. I'm looking at stuff.
Okay,
I could use at least one other. If we're gonna do something for the crew, I could use at least one other. But
One other what?
crew roll. But if we want to get something, if we want to try for something in bulk that would benefit myself, Warner, and your cyborg, there is an ammunition you could acquire that would be useful to all three of us if we could get it.
Combat
if you don't want to do that,
Servitor
that's
with
fine.
a heavy stubber.
I didn't hear you.
So there is an ammunition called organ grinder rounds. It's a bolter ammunition. I think it's also for heavy some other things, but I think mainly bolters. That Warner could use it for a solo bolt gun. I could use it for my pistols, and your servitor could use it out of the heavy bolt gun.
I thought his weapon was a heavy stubber. Am I wrong?
No.
Nope, we went for bolter.
Okay. All right, never mind then. What does the organ grinder rounds do? I know they add to the damage or something. I just don't remember what specifically.
Extra damage on if a roll is failed is the short version.
Extra damage on a failed roll?
Extra damage if the target fails a roll.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. So there's that. There's also, of course, Assault Lasgun Improvement Mark 1, which was whatever it was that you guys were thinking about instead of the Assault Las rifles. And then I'm sure you probably want to get better armor for the troopers.
Well, I was planning on, better armor for the troopers might be a later upgrade with a little more stuff, because if we get light carapace armor, we're looking at a rare roll for a squad. If we do stormtrooper armor, which is what I really want to get for them, we're looking at very rare for a squad, and so that's going to be a challenging roll at this point. Instead, I want to go for something that's more likely to upgrade them immediately and not fail, which would be the assault, which is going to be to equip our elite troops with assault stubbers.
And the organ grinder rounds can be used for heavy stubbers, any bolt weapons, and Darius's hand cannon.
Ooh.
Right. I wasn't sure if the assault stubbers counted as heavy stubbers because they're.
I don't think so, technically.
That's what I thought.
Are they? What exactly
if they're
is an
basic
assault
class,
stubber?
they're not heavy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're a basic class weapon.
Oh, is this assault stubber effectively like an assault rifle?
Or something? Yes.
It's like carrying around a 50 cal.
But that's what a stubber is.
It's like carrying around a double barrel AK-47.
Okay. So it's probably
AK-47.
It might be more akin to something like a SAR 240 versus
it has storm.
50 cal.
The really useful thing about it is that it has a storm quality.
What does the storm quality do?
It shoots twice, like a storm bolter.
I don't listen. We know my knowledge of Warhammer, anything 40K is limited. I was just curious what the storm quality.
So, I think essentially, and this may not be how it works. I'd have to double check the rules, but essentially, whereas with a normal weapon, if you hit once with a stubber, you hit twice. Or sorry, with a storm weapon, you hit twice.
A weapon with the storm quality doubles the amount of hits inflicted on the target. For
Mm.
example, when firing a weapon with the storm quality in fully automatic mode, each degree of success yields 2 additional
Yep.
hits, up to the weapon's firing rate as normal.
Yep, that sounds juicy in a wet, squishy sound sort of way.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, Rev, what would you like me to roll for?
Well, I'm thinking, even though they're not the best to hit right now, if we get man-stopper rounds, that'll up the AP by 3.
I thought you had those already.
No, he has
Technically, we-
incendiary rounds.
Oh, okay.
Technically, when Omar gave the party pistols, gave our troops pistols, he
The
gave
auto-
them man-stopper round.
The
The
auto,
auto
pistol? Yeah,
he gave them man-stopper rounds so they weren't broken. But when he switched them to las rifles, I considered that to be a full swap out and not just we still have a bunch of man-stopper rounds in our inventory. But that's up to Omar. Do we have
No,
Tough man.
I'm okay with you guys making a roll to swap over to man-stopper rounds, or
Okay.
whoever's getting them.
All right, well, man-stopper rounds are scarce. So it's a pretty easy roll to get for the whole ship, I think, if I did my math right. Let me double check. Pull up my sheet here.
What page is the acquisition rules on? It's like
So, scarce is a 0 modifier, and we would either
Scarce?
need,
yeah, +0. Go ahead.
and we would either need a minor or a trivial or a minor, I think, to have enough to cover us and the special squads. I do need to check that page in the book, though.
PDF page 273 is lists the modifiers for acquisition rolls.
Well, no, it's the enumeration of the
Oh, where the
how many is included in which.
gotcha. Well, trivial is like squad size, minor is platoon size. So what do you want? Do you want a platoon's worth of ammo or do you want a squad's worth of ammo?
Well, I was thinking a platoon's worth because if we have enough to equip the special squads, plus if anybody in the party is still using something that can use man-stopper rounds, they'll have them available.
Sorry, go ahead, Altargus.
What is our special squad using right now? As far as
Rifles.
They're using las rifles, but we're getting something that will take advantage of the man-stopper rounds, or at least that's what I'm rolling for.
So
you're gonna roll for the weapons and Darius.
So here's what we'll do. So tell you what, Darius, hold off on your roll. My roll should be successful, but let me do my roll first, and we can revise our plan. If Omar's okay, we can revise our plans.
All right. So what are you rolling for, Rev?
I'm rolling for the
assault stubbers or whatever it was.
Yeah. But I was trying to pull up the page that showed numbers.
Assault stubber sounds like Into the Storm.
It is, but I was trying to pull up the page that shows numbers for an acquisition roll.
Yeah. What page is that stubber on?
It doesn't. Omar, you were looking at the page that shows sizes.
Yes,
for the acquisition
I wanted
rolls.
to see
page
what.
Was that?
Oh, that was in the Rogue Trader core book. It's 271. 271. Sorry.
Okay.
Into the Storm.
Yeah.
114 is the weapons table that has the assault stubber on it.
All right.
The actual description is on page 112.
It's average rarity, so that's +10. And then if you get all right, so the average rarity is +10. So right now you're looking at a 68, and then you want a squad's worth or a platoon's worth of assault stubbers?
Let's get a platoon because I want more than 5 people to have them.
Okay.
So that's +20 in total.
Yep, you're sitting at +20, and then you want what quality
70.
of weapon? Well, yeah, common, good, or best.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna double.
Good gets some reliable, but is -10, so you'd be back to just a +10 on the roll.
Yeah, you'd be back at a 68, which isn't a bad number to roll on, but
Well, I still think I was gonna sacrifice one of my die to get it to a 78. But do I want a 78 or an 88? I think I want reliable on their weapons.
Reliable's probably pretty good.
so you're gonna go for good quality assault stubber.
Yeah.
Okay, and that puts you, and with that fate point, that'll put you up at 78 then. My math
Yep,
is working.
Correct.
Except the
All right,
table's
when
all
you're
full.
ready, make your roll.
All right.
How would it change if you did best quality?
It would
I'd lose another.
Minus
It'd be-
20.
it'd be down
further.
to
58.
Yeah, 58.
Why don't you go with that?
Because 58 is not as easy to hit as a 78.
And reliable's plenty good on a ranged weapon. Best
Especially-
quality is
Especially
kind
for a
of
whole squad.
overkill.
If it was my gun, and I was doing a negligible, I'd probably roll for best crafted.
Yeah.
Not only because of the chance to succeed, but because of it's going to mean a whole lot more to the party if a player character can't fire than if a squad member can't fire.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you get,
And,
Rev?
and reliable statistically makes it where it's incredibly unlikely that they'll jam.
Yeah, well, it changes the jam numbers to what, 99 and 100 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
$42.
Hey, we got him.
All right, you now have
I could have
between-
gotten best crafted at that. Oh well.
You now have 30. You now have a crate of 30 good quality assault stubbers.
If I
Arriving
had rolled
in-
a 42, I'd have my best power armor.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
I thought about going for the power armor myself this time.
I'm kidding, Warner.
That would have
I
Warner.
can't-
How Warner? How upset would you be if I had rolled the 42 and I'd gone for the light power armor?
I would be a little salty.
I bet Reinhardt would just be like, every time he sees the Lord Captain in that armor, he'd just be like, motherfucker. But he'd say it in German, with a German accent, and very low under his breath when he wasn't, being watched. All right, I believe that takes us to Darius making a roll for manstopper rounds for a platoon.
Oh no, I want to roll for the power armor.
I'll roll for the man stopper rounds.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Somebody roll for something, goddammit. Two of you have acquisition rolls remaining.
I'll do it. I
Alright,
still can't really think of anything else to go.
You can roll
There
for
are
manstopper rounds?
some other. Well, if you can't think of anything else, I do have some other suggestions for either you or Darius, whoever.
Oh, you do?
I do have. Yes, I do have. I have a list of things that our crew and ship could use.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'll go ahead and roll.
make the roll.
It's scarce, and we're looking for a platoon's worth. Or does that not matter with ammo?
Yeah, for the ammo, yeah, platoon.
So
Alright.
it's 68 or below, unless you put a fate point on it.
Why not? I have 5.
78 or below.
Okay.
He could have gotten power armor, Warner.
Yes, everybody rolls well but me.
All right, so you guys just got the manstopper rounds, yes?
Mm-hmm.
We did.
Okay, give me a moment. Let me update these models.
So it now means
Man stoppers for everyone.
it now means they fire. They fire.
AK-47s for everyone.
It means they fire 6 shots in a round, with 1d10 plus 4 each, with what's now going to be 6 pin. So they're going to be pinning at the same rate as what plasma weaponry.
Yes. Without the pesky overheat.
Let's see. I can't see
Oh, but
their
having
weapons. Damn it.
having your troops just suddenly vaporize is funny.
They will have lots of Burt now.
Here we go. Okay. All right. So we have assault stubber with manstopper rounds. Give me a second. Somebody give me what's the range for the assault stubber? I don't.
100
Actually,
meters.
Second, actually, I have it right. Just need to zoom in.
No, I've got it right here too.
Yep.
I can read it out to you.
Okay, yeah.
It's
thank
basic class.
You. Hold on,
100
hold on, hold on.
meters.
Hang on. Ah, shit! Wrong button.
Apparently, somebody forgot to
put.
put a single selector switch on these things, so they only fire in fully auto.
Correct.
Oh wow! All right, what's the what? So it's what's the? So it's dash slash what?
6.
6 rounds, and then damage
1d10 plus 4.
plus 4. Impact, and then what is pen? Actually, hold on.
3.
With the man stopper rounds at 6.
Yes.
Pen. Oh, I'm actually out of room. What?
Pen
Hold on.
3-6.
Stand by. Stand by. I'm actually out of room. So irritated with that idea. And then instead of spelling out assault, I'm just going to do ASLT, assault stubber with man stopper rounds.
You could shorten it to ASS.
Yes, it's funnier if it's an ass stubber.
It is actually. Okay, pen. What's the normal pen? 3, and then
3.
and then plus
3.
3 man stopper.
Hear me out. What if you did ass stub?
No, hold on. Clip 18.
Stub of an ass.
How many rounds in a magazine?
200.
Nice. And reload what?
2 full rounds. It says 2 full, so I'm assuming 2 full.
Yeah,
rounds.
2 full rounds.
Yes.
Okay. And then now I just take this.
If they ever 200 divided by 6, you're looking at slightly under 20 rounds of forget my math.
We have.
That's if they shot 10.
Yeah, I know. So it's slightly more than 20 rounds.
Yes.
So if we ever have 20 rounds of continuous combat, I'm gonna be sad. Like,
Just so you know, Reinhardt is stealing one of those because he couldn't find his power
I literally ordered enough for everyone.
armor. I know.
If
I'm
anybody in the
aware.
party wants an assault stubber and can fire basic weaponry, take it now, along with some man stopper rounds.
Okay. I just updated these guys to have assault stubbers. All these guys do.
Can Jace use basic weaponry or just pistols?
Pistols and swords, melee.
Okay.
Now, once I hit rank 3, I'll be able to buy basic.
Well, they'll be in the armory if you do unlock that ability.
Hang on 1 second, guys.
Oh, once I unlock basic usage, I could put one in my shoulder mount.
Oh, come on, damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Alright. I have updated our models for the troopers. I believe we have 1 person making rolls remaining.
Yep.
What do you got for
Me.
us, Alterios? Oh no, wait, that was Darius that needs to make the roll.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because, yeah.
Sorry. What are you rolling
So
for?
Darius,
So, am I rolling for power armor or am I rolling for something for the ship?
Don't you already have some half decent armor as is?
Yeah, I'd be
He has force
rolling
fields,
it for
yo.
somebody else.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay, well, all right.
I'd be rolling it and then I'd be giving it to, what is it, Warner?
Yeah.
Well, that is very generous.
That's very generous. Considering what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Best quality usually is tailored,
Mhm.
hand-fitted, hand-sewn, tailored made power armor.
Borgadillo was
So
sulking in the corner.
Warner gets light power armor, but it's fitted to Jace, so it binds in weird places.
I was gonna say Borgadillo would sulk in the corner that he gave that he spent his time looking for something for the crew.
They could have had power armor, man.
Oh, that's clearly on my list of acquisitions, but having troops to have the ability to pin felt more important
Yes.
because we realized
Okay,
partway through the
so
last combat
Rev,
section we
what
couldn't.
am I rolling for?
For the power armor or for the okay. So I'll give you. There's a couple options. There's the organ grinder rounds, and as Warner pointed out, those could help you too with if you use your
I
hand
already
cannon.
have special rounds for my hand cannon.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna promise you organ grinder are better. I don't remember what you have, but anyway. So
I have amputator shells.
and remind me what they do.
I don't remember what they do, but
Because
they
organ
sound
grinder
badass.
rounds, if the enemy fails their check, do 2d10 additional damage that ignore armor and ignore toughness.
Yep, because it's literally it literally just continues exploding inside them. Bolt guns are nasty. Just throwing it out there.
Anyway, so
I will
that would
keep
be
that in mind.
that'll be a little bit hard to get. But
Other
something
things.
else. Here's something that the whole party could use if you it's exterminator cartridges. That's one option. That essentially is a one. You'd need to order them in bulk. It's a common item. It's weapon attachments for all of us. It can go on all of our weapons, and it's a one-time use flamethrower. So it would give us the ability, if something got too close, to hose it with fire, one time.
What's
But that.
next?
So there is. I thought I had better notes on this. There is the crew improvement, which we can increase our crew rating, and that's an average rarity roll.
Where did you find that?
It's in the Into the Storm.
This isn't me saying I don't believe you. This is me wanting to see what it says.
I had to really do some digging for this.
Yeah. Because I've been wondering what the rule might be to take your crew rating from 35 to something better.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
At some point, there's also things we can do to improve the weapon batteries. So there's one thing I want to talk with Omar when we get the time. It did mention that you could get a stormtrooper detachment, but it did not give a rarity to that role. It just simply said that it was a role available.
Interesting.
And it gave the definitions of what good or best or whatever was.
It's ship acquisitions.
Yeah, there you go.
Was that literally what I'm looking for? Is ship acquisitions?
Now, if you wanted to get something else interesting for the squad, if you don't like the flamethrower for everybody, which I kind of like, if you don't like the flamethrower for everybody or the organ grinder rounds, you can try and make a rare roll to acquire suppressor shields for the squad and anybody else that wants one. It's a shield that provides additional armor for the torso and whichever arm it's wielded on. So, for example, it could be useful for you as well if you wanted one. And it is unique amongst the shields in that it does not have a penalty to shooting while that shield is equipped. It essentially has a slot for your weapon to rest in. So if having extra torso and arm armor seems interesting, that's an option. But I was mainly considering that for the special squad.
The crew upgrades table for you, Omar, is on page 165 of the PDF for Into the Storm. The description of it is on the page above.
What does that give us?
Crew improvements. Let's see. These improvements can take any number of forms. Blah blah blah. These improvements grant a permanent +2 bonus to crew morale. Poor craftsmanship crew improvements only grant a permanent +1 to crew morale. Good craftsmanship grants a +3. Best craftsmanship +5. But not so much their crew skill. That's their morale.
It's to the crew
Oh,
rating.
I'm reading this wrong. Maybe.
I have my note just says best gives +5 to crew rating.
Yes,
Which is
yes, I
Best
see
is
that.
crew rating.
Good
Which is what-
craftsmanship, crew improvements grant a +3 bonus.
To the morale.
Oh, but
Everything
those.
shy of best is
Yeah,
morale.
I see that. I was
Best
just
is rating.
Yep, I was just getting that. So you got to get the best one in order to improve them from 35 to 40, which I think they are 35.
Also, the best one says it also grants the +5 to the rating, which implies it grants the +3 to the morale and a 5 to the rating.
That sounds about right.
So
Their morale is already, your ship's crew's morale is already 100 or 99 or 101 or something stupid high.
so
Actually,
we hadn't
I don't
really
know why
spitballed on what
but don't listen to me.
we hadn't spitballed on what that would look like. And so I was going to, before we actually did that as a roll, I was going to discuss above the table or off camera with everybody what sort of things that we would want to get to improve the crew rating. Would we maybe you went and bought some training manuals and then started cascade training the crew, some sort of acquisition role like that. Maybe like, I hate to say it, but because like it doesn't really feel applicable to me, but like maybe you bought everybody better uniforms and they just perform their job better because they like their new uniforms.
I mean, that we can always hand wave something silly like that.
Happier, better trained crew may perform their duties better than resentful vassals. Whatever the reason, they could take any form, from better provisions for mess hall, better uniforms to promote loyalty, or even extended training regimes.
Yep. Let's go with the best for the crew.
Okay. I do need to take a good hard look because at our ship, I know we've got it basically crammed about as full as we can get.
I think it
Crew
is.
improvements are average, so +10, but best quality takes that to a -20.
Yep, -20, and then we don't need to worry about the scale or size or whatever, right?
I don't believe so, since it's for the whole crew in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because otherwise the crew would be vast because it's 10,000 plus and it's 26,000 crew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess -20. So 48, or excuse me, 38, 48 with a +10 fate.
Yeah, most of the ship upgrades really needed good or best from what I was looking at when I was doing some research on it. Some of the other
So
stuff
48.
48 with a fate point.
Yep. I am spending that fate point.
Alrighty.
Anything else before I roll?
No.
It looks like it landed.
Beautimus.
Alright, so now I'm trying to figure out where
I don't even have to spend a second fate point.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Trying to
One
see
of the other
where-
Oh,
things that-
look. I could have gotten the power armor.
Yep.
Wow.
Again, this is why I optimized my character to take the dice as far out of the equation as possible, because I know they hate me.
Okay, so for some reason, I don't have a crew skill level on this character or on the ship character sheet.
I thought you did at one point.
No, I don't see a spot for it. And I know, and my memory says it was 35 was your crew's base skill rating or whatever. Let's see. Crew population and morale, always a
While he's
value.
looking for that, shall we just? I'm just going to throw out some other items I looked at. So this would more be for me, so I'd probably make it myself. But we could get a display of wealth on the ship that wouldn't take up any additional space. And if I got either, it's a very rare thing, so it'd be kind of hard to get. But if I got good or best, it would increase my social checks, all my social checks, while on board the ship.
Behold how fabulously wealthy the rogue trader is. Look at all his glory.
A couple other things to interest in is there's turbo weapon batteries. which increase range at the lower settings, but at best increase, I want to say hit. It either increases the hit chance or the damage done. I forgot now.
The
I didn't make a
ballistic
note of it.
skill tests made to fire the weapon. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, I was thinking it was made it easier to hit.
Yes. Good craftsmanship turbo weapon batteries increase the range of the weapon component by 1. Best craftsmanship adds a +5 to the ballistic skill tests made to fire that weapon. So yes, it does make
Yeah.
it easier to hit and give it range.
But there's a couple things we could buy in terms of like power generation or engines that would that would um reduce the amount of some of the points that we would need essentially if we could upgrade that. And if we did something like that, there's things like a cogitator interlink or a gyro stabilization matrix that we could easily squeeze into the ship that would be beneficial. While we have Omar thinking about other things, and hopefully this registers with him, there's a lot of things in the Into the Storm about vehicles, and I was thinking it would be nice to have something like a gun cutter, which is essentially a armed and armored shuttle with quarters on board, for the command crew, should we want to go on some type of planetary mission.
Gregor Eisenhorn famously had a gun cutter.
Additionally, something that we could park in the cargo bay of said gun cutter would be a land speeder, which would be nice from getting to point A to point B in a hurry. Depending on what sort of circumstances you throw at us, it might not even be necessary.
Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have these things just for narrative reasons, if nothing else.
Vehicles.
But nothing is really said about how to. There's lots of things about how to use them. Nothing said about how to acquire them.
Yeah.
Vehicle acquisitions is page 178. No, 180.
Let me double check.
Each vehicle has a listed availability and may be acquired just like any other item. All standard rules for acquiring a vehicle apply. It is
when I was looking at
perfectly
the vehicles, it didn't
possible
say
to
that.
acquire a squadron of Fury Interceptors, for example. However, when acquiring a vehicle, all acquisition tests suffer an additional -10 penalty on top of any other penalties due to sheer cost.
But when I was looking at actual vehicles, I didn't see like a rarity listed there.
Availability.
Let's see.
Wow, people can only see my forehead as I lean in to read my PDF over here.
The Aquila Lander, for instance, is availability scarce. The Arvis Lighter is availability average. The Calixis Fury Interceptor is availability extremely rare. The Gun Cutter.
So when I look at the description of the Aquila Lander, I don't see that.
Look below special rules.
NPC crew ratings are on page 214. Holy shit, that took a hot minute.
I am currently on page 181 of
Into the Storm?
Yeah, looking at the
All right. Below where it says weapons, below where it says special rules, there's pilot operated linked weaponry, spacecraft, and availability.
I think we have different bookmarks. Hold on.
The Gun Cutter has availability of very rare.
Okay, so I found the information I needed.
Yay!
It took an awfully long time to find it, and I do apologize for mentally not being there for the most part. I'm normally not mentally there anyway, so this is not really much of a surprise or change. So, your crew rating was rated as competent, which is a 30, with this +5 that you just got from that acquisition, it's going to take it obviously up to 35. The problem, of course, is there's no spot for me to write this on the fucking ship sheet. So that's moderately annoying. So I'm going to have to put it on my profit factor sheet.
Only moderately?
It's actually a bit more than that, but yeah. Profit factor and crew rating. There we go. And then now, come over here. Oops. 35.
In the chat and in the Discord, I have pasted a cut of the gun cutter with the availability highlighted, so that Rev knows where to look and
Okay,
everybody
I
else
see what
has
I see.
something
What
to
I see. I
reference.
see. I was expecting a table showing the different vehicles and the rarities.
9.
It does say that the gun cutter is very rare. But then there's if I was kind of checked out because I was looking for stuff, but
When you were saying weapons and special rules, I was looking at bookmark chapters. I wasn't looking at sections on the card for the item.
Yeah, it's on the item itself.
the trying to acquire vehicles gives you an additional -10 to your acquisition roll, is that correct?
Here,
Something
I'll
like that.
just paste that in there as well. There, that's the vehicle acquisition rule.
So the gun cutter is definitely a late
Ah.
game interest.
Yeah, or one that you're gonna have to put some significant investment or thought or whatever into how to acquire. So to keep a sorry, I just was getting a phone call. Now I'm irritated, but anyway, this is it's going to track profit factor and your ship's crew rating. That's only for the Acheron's ferry, so that's going to change over time.
Cool.
Because you guys actually have like 4 ships right now. You have the Acheron's ferry and the Perilous. Perilous is going to be a 30. You know what? I'm just going to need a new card. Period. So we're going to put this right here.
One other stickler to navigate around tonight, just so that we're clear on the rules. Imperial ships link for the purposes of navigation through space. So I'm assuming only our navigator and our pilot are going to have to make checks for the whole fleet while navigating through the warp, correct?
Yeah, unless there's like a narrative reason, like or story reason, I don't see the reason to have. At this point, it would be double rolls because you've got the Perilous on escort duty for this next jaunt. So.
He said duty.
Nah.
I did.
Nah.
I wonder if my iced tea is finished steeping. Anyway, so crew rating went up by 5. Thank you very much, Jace.
Woot.
You're welcome.
There we go. Now
And,
save this.
Sorry, I just above the table. We're on record, I understand, but I hate to call you a commie because that almost seems borderline sacrilegious.
What I do now?
Oh,
Did I
you can
miss it?
refer to me as Shin.
Okay, Shinwar. I hate referring to you by your character. It seems like I'm being dismissive, but I also hate
Or
to call you.
Jace.
I also hate to call you God in Japanese every few minutes.
Shinigami is the god of death, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but
Yes,
I'm not
it
gonna
is.
say Shinigami every time I want to colloquially refer to him. It would come out as kami, and I don't want to go, "Hey God," every.
All right.
Why not?
Shall we continue with, as previously mentioned a moment ago, entering the warp? That is our next thing.
Vorkadio is a deity of his own universe. Thank you very much.
Well, in his own head, yes.
I didn't say otherwise.
I find that many people are their own gods.
Yep.
De facto, at least, if not de jure.
Ooh, blocks. No. Tokens.
So that's acquisition rules for everybody. In addition to giving them the we can role play this out, but actually, here, tell you what I'll do. I'll role play it out. I have an idea. So
All right, Rev, take the
we'll handle it
scene,
during the warp.
and let's try not to linger too long because we do have
No,
to
no,
get into the warp.
we'll do it as a role play during the warp transition. during the
Oh,
warp
gotcha,
travel.
gotcha. Let me roll this really quick.
What's the giant purple people eater about?
That's the
Ah!
that's the warp encounter thing.
Oh, okay.
That was also an additional 4 days in port looking for all the stuff you guys were looking for. So I need to update my thingy here. So 297 3
But
5.
should we get the cash to ever do it? There's two things that are on the higher end of acquisitions. There is a star chart collection. It's extremely rare, and good or best is what we'd want, and it gives us a huge bonus to piloting and navigation. Navigation in particular, I believe.
Which
But
sounds
since it-
pretty freaking great.
Since it's extremely rare, I wasn't exactly like, let's try for that now. Quick, somebody roll a 2.
No. Ask me to roll a 92.
Okay,
I can probably swing that.
are we ready to enter the warp?
I have no objections as long as there's nothing anybody else wants to roleplay.
Good.
All right. Navigator attempts challenging Cynician's test with a plus 20 bonus. Oh, let me clarify. In order to get into your particular domain, the common pathway is to Repton 4, which you have. Whoops, hold on 1 second. Which you have detailed charts for. That
One would assume he has detailed charts to his own domain.
yes, he can at least get you to Repton 4, and then from there, who knows? We need more milk. Got it. Okay. My son telling me that we need more milk, which means I'm not going to remember to get more milk tomorrow on my way home from work.
Unless I tell you.
Unless he tells me. Anyway, so to be
speaking
clear,
of reminders, Omar, did you get your taxes done?
I have not. I still have
Okay.
time.
You have what, 10 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, as long as I click submit before what, like midnight, the night of the 15th.
Okay.
Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
It-
Well, no,
it's
don't
your
answer. I'm
cho-
crazy. We know that.
It's your choice, man, but I'm just 10 days, man. A
I know.
little less than a week, or a little more than a week. I mean,
It's all good. It's all good.
everyone who's listening to the stream, H&R Block offers free consultation
All
on
right,
getting
listen.
your taxes
H&R
done.
Block ain't sponsoring me, so we're not going to talk about H&R Block. However, H&R Block, if you want to sponsor me, let's talk. All right.
Money is money.
Money is money, as my son says. I don't know why he's saying it, and I'm not. At any rate, so, all right, enough you. Cynician's test, plus 20 because of detailed charts, and then another plus 20 because of thingies in
Archer
the
does.
inventory. Let me verify that really quick. Where's my character sheet for her?
Various stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, that's plus 20 navigation warp, not plus 20 Cynicians. So for now, it's just a plus 20. Cynicians is, I believe it's an intelligence. Let me double check. Nope, it's perception. So 49. So 69. Somebody want to roll against a 69?
Not me.
I
I'll
can't.
roll.
My son's right next to me. I really can't
Someone
say
else got
more.
it.
All right, success. Let's see what does that. What does that
Yay.
success grant? That success grants a 1d10 roll on a table. Let me grab the book for that. Ooh, I'm not in the right place
Oh.
for that book.
What the Star Chart collection does that's really impressive that I really want to get for the team, it gives us, I believe, a 1d5 days reduced off our travel time in the warp.
Oh, nice. All right, I need a 1d10 roll, please.
Rev is really angling for time travel.
I mean, technically, if we had a 1-day trip through the warp and we got it done in
5-day reduction.
reduction. Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody gonna roll 1d10 for me?
Sure, I'll do it.
It's all right. Alterios got it. 1. Outstanding. We have apparently found, as it appears at the moment, a stable route.
Hooray!
That's a good thing.
Stability.
And then roll 1d10, please. Again.
I'll do it this time. The deuce.
Good. And another 1d10 on a different table. Let me see. All right, good. Oh, no, we don't need that roll. Never mind. Disregard
In a
that.
minute, you're going to need us to
Disregard.
get up and dance on the table. What is this?
No, we don't need that roll. Disregard that roll. All right. Warding and ill tidings. The House Van Bree's pre-warp rituals and traditions must be observed, assuming, of course, the Lord Captain says, let's do it. So, are we melting down 2 coins from everybody into a big glob that's going to get shaped into a skull and later hung on the outside of the ship? Something
We
like
do.
that.
Mm-hmm. We're starting a nice little collection of. I'm assuming some of the previous skulls are still there.
Yeah,
But we
mostly.
are-
Mostly. We can start rolling every time you complete a warp journey to see if a previous warp journey skull has vanished.
What?
Anyway. All right.
I just meant the ship got damaged and rebuilt before I arrived, so like the skulls of my previous generations might have been damaged.
Oh yeah, those are gone. I just rolled a 9, so you guys are good there for the crew morale. Now, effects of translation. All players make a willpower test as the ship translates into the warp. Various modifiers apply. Borgadillo and Icarus, plus 20. Reinhardt and Jace, plus 30. Plus any other modifiers you might have for individuals. Failure means rolling on craziness.
My favorite.
Rev Everett passed.
I was gonna say I passed even without the bonus, which is too bad because most of the
Warner
common
rolling a
horrors-
78. Are you going to re-roll
So
that?
I've got a 41 plus 30. Yeah, I think well, that's failing by less than 10.
Yeah, that's just a flat 1d100 roll on the crazy table.
Yeah, I'm gonna fade it.
Okay. Go ahead and re-roll that.
Normally I-
Please roll better,
Yeah,
stupid
there you go.
dice.
That
There you
looks
go.
better.
There we go.
All right, who's next?
I'll do it.
For a second I thought it was 82.
I would have absolutely lost it
40
in
something.
the game.
Icarus, pass or
Yeah,
fail?
that's a pass.
And Jace.
You said plus 30,
Correct.
so I need an 80.
If your willpower is that high, yes.
It's normally 50.
That's a real good willpower. Willpower is not a dump stat.
That's a good one there. All right.
Sure it is.
Cool. Locating the Astronomicon. Navigator makes a routine plus 20 Cynicians test. No other modifiers because we have line of sight to the Astronomicon. Or no, this is what this roll is. Cynicians, again, rolling against a 69. Somebody want to make that roll for me, please?
I was gonna say, Shin, you haven't hit the table in a bit. For the ship, I mean.
32. Success! That gives us a plus 10 bonus navigation warp test for the remainder of the trip. So, next, steering the vessel. I feel like I skipped a step. Give me a second here. Oh, here we go. Navigator makes a challenging navigation warp test. This will determine our actual voyage duration. So, navigation warp plus 30 total is going to be 82. Somebody roll that for me, please.
I got to roll the 69, so
I'll do it.
I thought it was Ulterior's turn.
Hey, look at that.
37. 5 degrees of success. That gives.
Hey, if you'd rolled that earlier, you would have
Shut
gotten.
up. Shut it.
Where am I? Hold on.
I thought we had a trope going. I'm
See.
sorry.
Poor
Oh,
Warner and
there
his
was
missing power armor.
there definitely is a trope.
Let's see. Hang on one second. I may have either skipped a step or rolled the wrong die. Bear with me just
So
for a moment.
I was gonna say, did someone just make a strange noise, or does someone have a cat near their computer?
That wasn't me.
I have
I'll
a
tell you
cat
that.
near.
Ah, here we go.
Okay.
This one. All right. So 5 degrees, 1/4. That means I need to pull up my calculator.
I'm over here,
Excellent.
Persephone.
And I believe, or is that the next time? Let's see.
See? Kitty.
Okay, so
Yep.
9.
I just thought all three of us might have taken up animal impersonation.
Oops.
Oh, to help you keep track of how many encounters in the warp we have.
Yep. And that is actually I need one more.
What?
That's a lot of encounters. It's a
40
long
Especially-
trip.
I was like, we had really good rolls though. Why is the trip so long?
It's a long
Listen,
trip.
it's a long trip. It's so for those that don't know, the warp is weird and traveling. I think from Footfall to Magoros was a base travel time of like 45 days. The base travel time from Footfall to Repton is 185. But that 37 roll against an 80 something was 5 degrees of success, which basically cut the base time in 1/4. So now we have several instead of many warp encounter tests. So for the first one,
I'll hit up my first RP after 2.
okay, I also have at least one. Let me double check my notes. I have one.
If anybody has any
Okay.
role play to get in, go ahead and announce it so I can work my stuff in around it.
Okay, so I have 2. I have 2 scenes. One is
Okay,
more of a cut scene than it is a scene. So
When do you want them?
the cut scene will be probably after the first encounter gets resolved, and then the other one can be like a couple of encounters. No, I got that backwards. One will be. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There will be a scene after the first encounter gets resolved, and then after a couple more encounters get resolved, then the cutscene.
Okay.
That's what I meant to try. That was what I was
That's my
trying to say.
beautiful kitty.
Oops.
Well, then I might save my RP stuff for after yours, depending,
Sure. Okay.
because we'll still have like 8 more rolls after yours. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
All right. So for this first encounter, let me get to the correct book. All right. I need 2 1d100 rolls. And let the bickering begin about which one is not time travel and why we're not.
I
going
haven't
to use
rolled
it.
in a bit.
All right. We got there 39. That is Psychic Predators, a psychic encounter. And a 50, which is Stasis, a physical encounter.
And a physical encounter is our piloting to dodge, right?
So physical encounters have the navigator attempting to avoid, and if successful,
let's do
then the
that.
pilot makes the roll to avoid as well. For the psychic encounter, it's all in the navigator's head.
I say we go with the physical encounter.
Physical encounter.
I say we have
disagreements?
enough of these encounters that we should probably streamline them.
How does
and
one
make
streamline
fewer
them?
rolls.
What did you say?
Make fewer rolls. Take the psychic encounter if there's only the navigator rolls once, as opposed to the navigator rolls and then the pilot rolls.
That's fair.
doubling the rolls. Dang it.
Except before it ended up being like several rolls in the navigator's head.
Yeah, that's true. You
Yeah.
know, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's do physical.
It could get
Limit it to 2 rolls.
Yeah. So, let's see. ordinary Cynicians test. So this will be 49 plus 10. So that's going to be 59. I'll roll this one. 59. I rolled a 69.
Nice.
I am not able. Hold on.
Does our navigator need a fate point?
That's what I'm trying to see, because that was to detect the physical encounter. I failed, but it doesn't mean we can't. We could still attempt to go around it. I just don't get any bennies. Now it's a challenging navigation warp test, which is plus 30, which is the 82. Let me double check that. Yep, 82. Hold that one as well to get around. That fucking rollover. God damn it. I'm re-rolling that. There we go. 50.
There we go.
Alright, and now Jace needs to roll piloting. Give me a sec. Navigator, piloting plus 10 plus any other modifiers you have.
1 second.
I believe you have the
Piloting spacecraft, right?
yeah, piloting spacecraft plus 10. I believe you have a plus 10 or a plus 20 thing in your inventory. An
I've got
abacus
a plus 10 thing in my inventory and a plus 10 trained.
Okay, so that sounds like plus 30.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead and make your roll.
And it's based on agility, which is 55.
So 85.
Yep. And then I am not going to spend a fate point to make that higher.
Success.
Yep.
We have completed one warp thingy. With that in mind, a handful of days after departing Footfall, Lord Captain, Anastasia Mercator, your navigator, in between her shifts, would like a moment of your time.
I arranged to have her come to my office at her earliest convenience.
She reports in that. Let me back up. Let me review my notes really quick. Lord Captain, if I may, I have checked in with some representatives of my house while we were on Footfall. I have learned a few things that may be. Well, things are interesting. According to some of my superiors within the Navigator House, that thing that we found was some sort of beacon. I don't remember if we have ever actually talked about this in the past. Things have been busy acquiring things and preparing for this journey, and also the death of a rival rogue trader.
Yes, well, I believe it was the Inquisitor herself, or the associate of the Casbolica that described it as such. Beyond that, we haven't discussed its beacon status, whether a beacon for invasion or a beacon towards hope. I do not know which.
From what my people on the station were able to convey to me prior to my leaving, as well as the task they gave me, it seems to be a beacon used in perhaps navigation or come here and check this out sort of pretenses. That said, as I mentioned, I have been tasked by my house leadership with scouting some of the worlds beyond the Dagger Storm. Let me pull up the thingy here. Give me a second.
So the edge of the galaxy.
Nope.
I thought the dagger star. I'm
Give me a
maybe
second.
confusing my terms.
Yeah, I know.
The map is coming up.
It's coming. Give me a second
It's
here.
loading.
I just gotta figure out where I saved it. There it is.
This section of the warp appears to be incredibly wide,
Exactly.
much like my last class reunion.
Wow. That was
Well then.
Yep, that was a thing. Okay.
I
So what
was
she's
homeschooled.
referring to is
Oh,
this, and this is I believe I
I
actually
was
had
my
some,
last class reunion.
very
I believe
good.
I called this something like, I was gonna call it the Dagger Star, but then I realized that's actually BattleTech. The Cameron Star is called the Dagger Star at times. So this is
Clan
yep,
Star is the one that's generally called the Dagger Star.
yep. So this is just the Dagger Storm, and
Uh,
what she has indicated is that perhaps one of these three worlds, there may or may not be another beacon.
If it was
Is it-
Dagestan, you'd have to worry about Khabib.
is it en route or is it?
No, this is Repton 4. Oops, this is Repton 4 right here, which is where you're headed to right now.
So it's, and Akalos. I'm looking at the map upside down because you reoriented my view.
Yeah, sorry.
Akalos is my throne world. Yes.
No, Achelos
Regis.
is the world that lost communication with the rest of the galaxy. So Achelos was used as a connection between.
Okay. I
your
thought that
pla-
was
your
Repton.
pe-
I'm sorry.
Yep. So Achelos is where that astropathic relay was, but calling it that is really not a fair thing to call it because it was much, much, much smaller, lower scale. But it was used to connect to Footfall so that you could reach the rest of the galaxy. Regius is your home world, throne world, whatever you want to call it. Repton is your current destination because going straight from Footfall to Achelos, nobody has the charts for that. Or the time, because conceivably that could be like a couple of years in the warp.
Huh.
And obviously nobody wants to do that. And then, as a final frame of reference, Vitamar is where you believe your mother was killed.
Okay.
Based on information that she gave you.
Now there was that other rogue trader who hired the pirates.
Yep.
Who was chased off of Akalos in the past. Their house was.
Regius, but yes.
Or sorry, Regis.
Yes.
But and I know. Do we know what their home system is currently?
It is an unconfirmed because nobody's bothered to follow up with them and they haven't been a threat. But there are beliefs that it is Alpha Heneti because that system was before the timeline that house was removed or they bailed. That nobody really gave a shit about that star, but then like years later, suddenly it kind of became something of a port of call every now and again. That makes any sense. So basically, it's presumed, but nobody's really followed up with it because fuck those guys. They're not important.
Presumptive.
They had a larger ship than mine. It's important.
But they weren't necessarily a rogue trader either, so therefore, who cares? That was the going consensus amongst your people until that point. That said, where am I? Anastasia. Oh my God, this roll is so slow. She says it is House Mercator's belief that there are more, or excuse me, that there is another beacon somewhere on the other side of the Dagger Storm. And that at our earliest convenience, we should head that way and investigate. What you decide to do, of course, is your choice. But if you continue down a path that does not allow for me to investigate to some degree, at some point our paths may separate. Should that happen, of course, House Mercator will ensure that you receive a new navigator, but that will be a bridge to jump, as they say, at another time.
I would assume that the nomenclature would be that would be a rift to jump.
If you prefer to jump rifts, I suppose we could arrange that, Lord Captain.
However, I don't think
I
it would be
prefer to
necessary.
jump rope.
Is Reinhardt even in the office right now? Actually, that'd be funny
No.
as shit if he wasn't. Or rather, if he was, he just hasn't said shit or done anything. He just stood there like a statue until now.
Well, I'm envisioning Reinhardt as something between an aide de camp and a bodyguard.
Yeah. And a silent, unmoving. He's one of those living statues that you see like in San Francisco.
No, correct me since it's your character, but I don't picture Reinhardt as like a living statue. He's more of like the guy playing solitaire or trimming his nails or smoking a cigar. I don't see him much as a stand and do nothing sort of fella.
Oh, he's the
There's
guy.
definitely fidget.
The
He's
guy that
either
just sits.
cleaning a gun or playing with a knife, tossing
He's
it, or
playing
doing
with his
the
fidget spinner knife.
yeah.
Well, specifically
Yeah.
for that reason, like I have a corner of my office that's like Reinhardt's corner,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
he can clean weapons, or I've just forgotten the knife game that you play with your hand on the table.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Pick my teeth,
Something, yeah.
clean my
And
fingernails.
he just speaks up. I prefer
with-
the jump rope. And when you say that, by the way, Anastasia and all of her, incredibly tall but incredibly thin and pale, gaunt intimidation capabilities, minus the third eye, of course, just looks at you, and she's like, "Be silent,"
Like,
and then turns
I
back
did-
to the Lord Captain.
I'll say, we obviously restoring the relay is of utmost importance,
Yes,
and
of course.
cementing my authority on Regis is not far behind.
Indeed.
But in the near future after that, I imagine, given the perilous nature and the financial gain potentially involved with both the navigator houses now too, apparently, pursuing one of these probes, or beacons as you call them, would be one of our top priorities.
As you say, Lord Captain, perhaps you are not familiar with House Mercator. We are known as something of infomongers amongst many of the other navigator houses and some of the nobility across the Imperium. That said, from time to time, taskings, and when she says taskings, there's a little bit of a air quoting motion that she makes with probably just one hand as she leans on her staff with the other. Every now and again, such taskings may come down. Of course, barring any major priority bestowed upon me with this tasking, I would of course come to you, and then we can determine when the best
Well, then-
timeline might be to approach such things.
On behalf of your family, since we are in your house, since we are speaking candidly, are they interested in information about these beacons, or do they wish for a beacon itself?
The information I was given was that there was potentially one out here. Whether or not they want us to recover it is a different animal. However, we have given one to the Inquisition. Perhaps having one ourselves would not be such a bad thing. Unless, of course, if this thing presents a significant threat to us or the rest of humanity. At which point, destroy it with due prejudice.
It did have a warp signature of a sort,
It did.
and that
did.
is what concerned me.
It is a confusing sort of thing. One part psyker and one part warp, but yet, as we all know, psychers and warp are deeply intertwined. I haven't figured out exactly how that thing made me feel, but it definitely made me feel some way.
Well, at your convenience, when not in interference with your other duties, perhaps meeting with our resident Psyker Winter and considering some countermeasures to its interference on the warp aboard ship would be in order.
I will see what I can do. Perhaps develop some sort of countermeasure. I cannot, of course, guarantee any sort of promise, but certainly look into something.
Thank you. Was there anything else that you wish to speak of today?
No, that was all I needed, Lord Captain, and I do apologize that I didn't bring this up prior to leaving Footfall, but, well, as I mentioned, other priorities were pressing.
Of course.
She's also, in case you didn't know, she's making something of a snide remark about your deposing of Haderach Fell.
And
She's
should
not
your
dumb enough. She's not going to be dumb and be like, outright be like, you shouldn't have done that, Lord Captain. How fucking dare you? But she's definitely like, yeah, he may have gotten his, but did you really need to do it right then and there that way?
Was the I well, yes, I handled it with the least number of casualties possible.
Sure.
What better
She's
way-
not, mind you, this is all body language and maybe a smirk. Yeah.
And this is more Borgadillo directing something at the GM through the fourth wall. But as far as balance sheets are concerned, the fewer dead, the better.
Yes.
Especially if it's human lives.
Sure,
So
sure.
they can be expensive.
All right. We now have another warp encounter. So give me two 1d100 rolls.
I would say one more thing to the
Oh, yes,
navigator
please.
before we. So I'm going to say, Lady Mercator, should your family have any other tasks, tell them that they are free to bring them to me directly, should they so choose. They are more than welcome, as our houses have a long-standing relationship.
She stops mid-stride and turns back to you, like turns her head over her shoulder, and she says, as my family's representative to your ship, I believe I have done exactly that, Lord Captain.
Very good. I said, and secondly, see you at dinner.
I can be there if you request it, Lord Captain. Otherwise, I will be navigating. My shift is coming up shortly.
The crew, I mean, like, regardless of what it is, there are shared meals amongst the command staff.
Yeah. Well, in that case, she will. I think there's a bit of a moment where she's like a begrudging sigh, and she's like, fine, I will readjust my scheduling once again to ensure that I'm always available for your dinner plans.
Why?
She won't be quite so smart ass about it like I am, but there will definitely be implied snide remark. I can't speak right now. God damn it.
Implied snide.
Yes, there you go. Alright, let me get the two 1d100 rolls from somebody.
I am away from my computer at the moment.
Oh,
I'll click the button.
One of my dogs just jumped up and ran to that door, and whenever that happens, it means he's forgotten his. He's about to lose control of his bowels.
Check that 71.
That is an etheric wreath physical encounter. You don't want to hit this.
Probably not. Let's see what happens on the second button press.
Yes.
Get a zero.
Worse.
Get us a nothing happens.
16 is all's well.
I
I guess we don't need to. I guess we don't need to
Yes.
discuss what that means.
All's well. How am I supposed to sleep with you yelling all's well all the time?
Anybody else doing a scene here, or shall we move on to our third warp encounter check?
I was gonna wait till after your follow-up cutscene or whatever.
Okay. You know what? I can go ahead and do that now.
Okay.
Let me get to the right place in my notes. So several days later, let's see. A horrible dream assails each of the player characters and all of the significant NPCs, basically any NPC that we have named, and a fair portion of the unnamed crew will be in idle chit-chat, having comments about this dream that they have had. This dream doesn't necessarily happen all at once, like in a single evening, but like over several evenings. But everybody eventually has it. Black. Absolute dark. Devoid of light. And then a single flicker, there for a second, and then gone for what feels like hours. The sounds of heavy breathing, exertion. A heartbeat, but one that is arrhythmic to any heartbeat you have ever heard. Five beats to the whole, not four, and off beat, except for the whole sequence. Then another light, flickering, dull at first, then bright, then searing, blinding, then fading, waning, depleted. It falls to the dark. And then another light, high above, as though it were the sun, but the light it casts is gray, cold, distant. A tower can be seen ahead now, a mighty spire above rock and dirt, reaching into a gray heaven, a mighty flame above it. You can think of Sauron if you like. Not a flame, as it flickers, but an eye. Okay, now you could definitely think of Sauron. Turning slowly towards you, and then the lights fade more. Blackness, swallowing, all-encompassing, until there is naught but the eye above, and a million and more lesser eyes watching you from every possible angle. We have always been, and always will. A cold voice and tones, loud, deafening, repeated, fading as the light fades too, till finally you see your resting place. I don't have much in the way of theatrics to really bump that up in intensity, but it's a pretty intense dream. Go ahead.
I'm going to put a note in the command staff logs.
Uh-huh.
Seek a ship's counselor or priest of some sort.
For you, for everybody, for the ship?
If I get a counselor for just myself, it would be very Rogue Trader-like, but no, for the...
No, you get two. One for you and one for everybody else.
Yes, yes. I've heard that an alien race called Betazoid is particularly effective.
Betazoid? I don't know.
Truly alien, or are they just human-esque?
They're a human subspecies.
The Betazoid?
With some
telepathic and empathy. Empathic.
Yes.
Telepathic. Oh my god.
They don't have
so
cat
they're
ears.
not filthy Xenos.
No, it's from Star Trek.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm just making a joke.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure because not everybody would have picked up on that. Depending on what kind of. I mean, this is a group of nerds playing a nerd game on a show of nerds for nerds to watch. So I guess somebody would have figured that out eventually.
I'm just making cross references that would upset some of the fan base. That's
all. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not particularly a fan of Star Trek, and even I know that.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
But yeah, no, I like that. We have always been, and always will. Just having that on repeat for like 5 minutes.
Reinhardt is going to be like, Captain, I had the strangest and most uncomfortable dream. I believe there was a weird sexual component, but with an eyeballed tower.
Of course, the German
I get a little piece of like scrap plas, and I paint on it. What did you say they were saying?
What was the phrase?
Yeah.
We have always been, and always will.
I paint that on a scrap of like plas to hang on the wall, but in sort of a live, laugh, love style. And then at the bottom corner, I put like the seal of the Emperor, so it seems like it's a reference to the Emperor and not
some Xenos bullshit.
Yep.
A royal we.
Okay. Anybody else, or shall we continue with our warp fuckery?
No, let's go ahead and get some more rolls in.
All right. Who's rolling the next set of two 1d100s?
Alterios.
Go, Alterios.
Yeah.
Make me two 1d100 rolls. See what kind of encounters you get.
All right.
62. Warp storm. Physical encounter.
We've never seen those before.
Yeah, not in warp.
I want one of those time travel warp riffs. Let's go.
Give me another roll. Alterios. Oh, there you go.
You want me to do the second one too?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
just whenever you do it, it's 2 D100s to see what's worse.
37. Psychic Predators. A psychic encounter.
Warp storm's physical. Let's do that.
Warp storm. Navigator Must make the.
I'm just gonna
avoided
make
roll.
the call for the ship from now on. If anybody
Sounds
objects,
good.
then we can vote on it.
Yep. 49, 69.
Nice.
Yeah, 69. I'll roll the 69 really quick.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody.
I said nice already. What do you want
Yes.
from me?
96. I rolled the numbers. I just
And
got them in the
look.
wrong order.
It's an inversion.
Yes. So that means we get to attempt to avoid it, but we don't get any extra benefits. But we don't get any extra benefits had I passed it. So.
What?
I don't know. Let's see. Navigation warp plus 30 is going to be at 82.
Does it change how challenging the roll is for the pilot if you miss that first one?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to re-evaluate
11
my
underneath
notes.
the 82 is pretty darn good,
Yeah.
though.
And then Jace, piloting plus, I think your total was a plus 30. Also like a 85 was your target number.
Yep. And what is this for exactly?
Avoiding
To avoid
a
a warp
warp storm in the warp.
Ah, okay.
Which is basically, I just start rolling critical hits on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
10, 20. What was 30?
I was pretty sure it was plus 30 because you had a 10. Oh, it's an ordinary test, and then you had another 10 and another 10.
The ordinary is plus 10?
Yep, ordinary is plus 10, and then you had the sextant, and then you had training plus 10.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, 85.
All right. We have avoided the warp storm. It looks really scary in the distance as you zing by it. I don't know what it would look like, honestly.
Meow.
All right. Do we have any scenes, or shall we move on to the next encounter?
What do you mean we looked outside?
What? Oh, what do you mean?
I was making a joke about looking at. I was picturing in my head that you're on an actual sea-going vessel, and zipping through the waves, and off on the horizon is this just lightning-riddled storm. But it's also not at all representative of what just happened. So anyway,
I knew it was a joke. That's why I said it.
yeah. All right. Do we have any scenes or anything to get into in between encounters here?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and request that Icarus come to my office at his earliest convenience, whenever his rituals permit.
Alrighty. That would be you, Icarus.
I know.
He's just like, but I'm not. I'm not available right now. It's not convenient right now. My next convenience will be convenient.
All right, I'll stop by his office.
Yes, several things. Insincere. First, I of a personal curiosity, I saw that you kept the eyes and the ears as a token. Is that typical amongst the Mechanicus, or is that a personal thing of yours? Is there any
Snake
significance?
deserved to be degraded. Tried to take away independence.
Keep it open. Keep it open.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by Omar's conversation.
Oh, it was probably my kid in the background.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, open, leave it open.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was definitely him.
I know. Anyway, yes, so more of a personal issue. Any specific reason for the eyes and the ears?
More portable.
I see. Well, speaking of portable, I pull out a hat. I pull out the other Rogue Trader's hat.
Hederac
set it on
Fell's
my-
hat.
Yes.
Okay.
Fancy and ostentatious as it was.
Yes, of course. big wide-brimmed hat, maybe a trireme.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was picturing. I
Or-
was actually picturing more of a bicorn with lots of feathers.
Yes, that definitely yes.
Feathers.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just feathers, but like feathers of foul Xenos creatures.
Right. I'd say, I know it's not typical, but I was thinking this would bolt nicely on top of your new servitor.
Hmm.
Did we turn Haderach into the combat servitor?
Yes.
And I'm suggesting in more specific language that we basically bolt this hat onto the top of the servitor's head.
Yeah.
So there
Amazing.
is now a servitor with a heavy bolter on one side who is going to be colunking into battle with a jauntily tilted feathered cap upon his head.
And his whole
How
purpose
much
will
of how much of a tilt did you want on there?
Yeah.
Well, not
at
Wha-
least 27 degrees.
whatever level of jaunt that the engine seer wishes to provide for his servant.
In other words, surprise me, Engine Seer.
It's how jaunty you want it to be, or what angle you want it to be at. I'll leave that at your discretion.
Well, it can't get in the way of the new cybernetics we put into the thing. So it's tilted up at like a 45, so it's like sitting on the like the sort of back part of your skull.
That's fine. However you
Alright.
want to do it. And I do have one other thing for you. And I pull out this little box, and I said, I know it's not mechanical, but I do know that logic is also something that you, the Mechanicus, seems to value. And it's a series of interlinking rings. And I say, these can easily be pulled apart by brute force, but using logic, they can all be removed from each other and unintertwined with minimal effort. I know that pastimes are not your pursuit, but I thought a test of logic might be something you'd relish, if even briefly.
Brain puzzle.
And like I said, it's a fairly common, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, not super common. It's nothing like ancient relic of the past type thing. It's literally just a series of interlinking rings that you have to move and twist in certain patterns in order to disengage them from each other.
Yeah.
And Engine Seer, is there anything that I can do to improve the performance of your duties? Anything that will help increase your optimization?
Half part of me wants to request another servo skull, but I know that would be just a joke at that point.
But you know what would be cool is Icarus making those sorts of jokes. Like, I could always use another servo skull, Lord Captain.
Yep. Yeah, throw it in there.
Darius is not falling
think,
asleep right now, by the way.
I think I'll go with a bit. Optimization always improved equals servo skull.
I'll keep my eye out for additional servos.
I'm just picturing at some point, like 5 years from now, in game
It's
time,
like a
Icarus is just gonna have a
beehive.
cloud of servo skulls and one Haderach Fell looking combat servitor with a jauntily tilted hat.
There is an item for ships called a cherubim Airy. Now, could we modify that so that Alturios could have a servo Airy?
You know what I'm picturing now is a bookcase, or no, it's like God, it's like a shoe rack, right? The ones it's like it's a square about 1 foot across, but there's just enough room for each pair of shoes, and you have just this wall of it. But each little spot has a servo skull inside it.
Well, let me offer, just in case we decide to go with something like an Airy.
Yeah,
Picture more of like in some of the older buildings where they have little bird nests built into the ceiling.
Yeah.
Fairly close together for like things that eat mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Basically just where there's space for dozens and dozens of servo skulls to literally come out of their little charging ports.
The little
in the
charging,
ceiling.
their little iPhone charging ports.
Well, not necessarily that, but like it's even artistically set up in a way so
Oh,
that when
yeah.
the skull is nestled into its spot, it looks like part of a greater design.
Actually, yeah, no, the greater design, of course, is the Omnissiah. I don't know what it's called. You know what I'm talking about? The big circular thing. That is the symbol of
The emblem,
Omnissiah.
the gear and skull thing.
Yeah, is that what it is?
I just call it just the Omnissian emblem.
Yeah. All right, time for more warp encounters. Yes.
Okay.
All right, who's making the rolls? I need 2 1d100s. By the way, I did look up if so when we roll for an encounter, the navigator has a chance to detect that encounter beforehand. If successful, I get a +20 to the next roll to avoid it. If I fail, I still have the option to avoid it. I just don't get that bonus. But if I fail by more than 2 degrees of failure or more, we don't even get that next roll. We just hit that motherfucker because I didn't detect it in time.
There
asleep
you
at the
go.
keyboard.
Yeah, she's asleep at the keyboard. Yeah. What?
Oh, it didn't register. I'm sorry.
What the hell happened there? You
I
click
don't
it too many
know.
times too fast or something?
I was trying to get two. I was trying to get
Hey,
two
there's
rolls.
that time thingy.
93 and 83. Okay, well that's still 2 different things. And Rev, the first 93, temporal hole, physical encounter. And then 83 is a warp rift, also a physical encounter. Neither of these sound pleasant, by the way. Temporal hole. If the navigator cannot lead the vessel away from this encounter, the vessel is sucked from the warp and translated back into reality.
Nope.
The duration of passage is the length of the journey through the warp so far, and the vessel counts as being severely off course. That's the roll that could roll, if it's a really high roll, could end up being a massive change in time. Warp rift. If the navigator does not circumvent this encounter, the vessel slews into a nebula of unreality for 1d10 days. Each day the ship is within this nebula, the GM rolls on warp incursions. The GM rolls. Yeah, that does sound gross. On that note, which of these lesser 2 evils do we take?
I'm gonna say actually that honestly,
you're gonna say temporal hole.
Temporal hole sounds better because that's 1 test to get back into the warp as opposed to
Yeah.
I was gonna say
daily.
I don't really feel like failing and then automatically having demons on board.
10 days of Warner reliving, Reinhardt reliving the.
No, I think you were right the first time.
Backstory.
I think you were right the first time.
They're the blue floaty like ray looking demons I've had to face before, and they almost bushwhacked our Space Marine squad. So I really do not want. that.
The blue floaty ones? You mean Zinchian like?
They look like
blue horrors?
beaked manta rays. No, they're not horrors.
They're definitely Zinchian.
No, you mean the manta ray looking ones. Oh gosh, those are screechers.
59
screechers, I think.
I think so, something like that. They're horrible though, and if you kill them, they have a chance to just pop back into reality and keep fighting. It's terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are honestly worse than horrors.
Rolling against even 59. I have 1 fate point for the navigator. Is anybody going to give me a +10?
I'm going to give you a +10 because I'd rather avoid both.
You know what happens when you
because I'm trying to think, like, don't I have something that gives me a +10 bonus? Or
yes, you have like
no, because this first test is a Cynician's test, not the navigation warp test. And I thought I had a reason to believe I had a +10 from something else. Whatever, it's fine. 59 +10 for the warp is 69, or fate point, I mean.
Nice.
32. Okay, cool. Now I have a plus 20 with another plus 20. So that's plus 40.
Just to keep things shorter,
Yeah.
can we say that first roll you do is for her to detect it and us to not have problems at all? Because that's how it's going to end up, is that we don't have problems at all.
Yeah,
So if
unless
you
he rolls
pass-
100.
I made my navigation roll. Now I need Jace to make his piloting roll. I see where you're going with that, though, Rev.
Yeah, but like it's like the only thing, like it's the reason Jace built his character that way is to make those pilot skill checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't
I don't want to take that away from the character.
Yeah.
Well, I was
you know.
thinking that his pilot skill checks are also incredibly useful in shipboard encounters, but I also don't know that everyone. And I'm asking this to Shin here. Do you if that first roll of the 2 separate navigator rolls means instant pass on a navigational check, do you mind getting passed up for that one roll, or would you rather go ahead and make that roll to?
I say let him make that. Well, no.
Okay.
Let him answer. Let
I
him
see-
answer.
I seem-
I think
seem
that was.
outvoted.
I'd rather make my own rolls. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to make. I would like for those rolls to be made just to justify whether we do or do not have to deal with the encounter.
Okay.
So if we roll well, we don't have to worry about it. If we fuck it up, we can laugh about it and then deal with demons eating our souls.
Okay.
Or whatever the case
Well, I
might
wasn't.
be.
I was just saying that like it's statistically we're not going to fail.
No, yeah, our
Well,
chances are pretty. That's why I said we're gonna laugh about it as our souls are devoured. It's spilled out into the world.
So anyway, we're ready for the next check.
Well, a check or a
And
scene.
he said, play the best song in the world, or I'll eat your soul.
Yes, Jack of the House Black. It's either another check or another encounter test or scene. Do we have a scene?
I feel like I had a scene for somebody else, but it escapes me at the moment.
All right, looks like we got some rolls going on.
Oh, I remember the other scene.
26. That is Delusion Mirage, Psychic. And 56, Spontaneous Inhuman Combustion, which is a physical encounter, is my guess.
I could always use some exploding.
Okay, so 59. Critical. No, not a critical. In Pendragon, that's a critical. But anyway. So I get a
right
plus 20.
on the money.
Plus 40, so it's going to be... What is... So navigation, warp is intelligence, which is 52. So, yeah, I need a 92 or lower. I succeeded. Jace, go ahead and make your 85, I believe it is, piloting test. Do you see the spin on that one die?
Woo!
And that's a 7.
Hot 7.
Okay, we easily, without even, we giggle to ourselves about how well we passed that test. All right, encounter
Giggle.
or scene?
Jace is only
let's-
driving with one hand, just like
He's using his foot.
Now this scene is something that necessarily didn't happen at this point. It probably would happen relatively early on.
Sure.
I'm just trying to space things out. We're having a meeting about crew readiness, and I'm at this meeting. I'm assuming that Jace would have some input as to how to improve crew readiness, however we want to do that, and that there's a discussion, and the 2 items for the meeting is that, and a discussion with Warner for how to provision and distribute the new equipment to these special troops.
Who's in
How do we
these
want-
scenes / meetings?
Well, particularly like the Seneschal and myself, obviously, Jace and Reinhardt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other senior officers that might be sitting in on such a meeting?
The navigator would be present probably for
for
crew readiness.
Okay.
The disbursement of guns and ammo, it's probably not going to involve her, but would involve both would involve the Seneschal.
So,
I imagine
Jace?
winter might also be there for the crew readiness bit.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking more like physical readiness, like in terms of like, because our crew rating doesn't really cross over with navigation or the psyker stuff.
Well, I assume by readiness you meant like ready to action or battle stations and or physical fitness.
This is more of an RP way of getting to how we got.
Oh
a
yeah,
plus-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How the crew
So-
rating improved.
So Jace, how what steps and things did we purchase to get a +5 to our
Well,
crew
I
rating?
actually found a series of manuals that deal with efficiency and some training manuals for that would apply to the crew skills.
And we are discussing at this meeting how to properly disseminate said material through the crew as needed.
Well,
Sure.
clearly by shift, shift leads, department heads start implementing the directives that you and Master Jace put out to them.
Okay.
This, of course,
And
is
for-
the Seneschal speaking.
Yes. Very good. We'll see how that turns out. And for other business, I believe we have some equipment to distribute to the elite squads. I believe that Reinhardt will be best able to instruct them on the usage and maintenance of said weaponry, seeing as he has already been going over one himself. I think he best head up the disbursements of
The
that
camera
as well.
swings from the rogue trader to Reinhardt, who has an assault stubber disassembled, and he's sitting there holding like a buffer spring and in one barrel, and he's like, "Don't remember how to put this back together. Why is everybody looking at me?" But of course, German accent.
The red bone's connected to the something. The something's connected to the other thing. The other thing's connected to my wristwatch. Uh-oh.
In
Um,
addition, oh, were you gonna say something, Ulterius?
I was gonna say, sometime during that day, you'll probably get an email or like what passes for an email from Icaros on regards to crew readiness about just leaving the ship at what the equivalent of like a condition yellow, and giving them all caffeine stimulants to keep them awake 24/7.
What
Jesus
what
Christ.
on the chem chart? What would caffeine stimulants be?
That would be recap.
Yeah, but is
Oh, as far as like what kind of bonus would that give?
yeah, like on the drugs and provisions tables, like what on there would be constant caffeine stimulants?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm definitely thinking something like a +20 for the first hour or two, and then it levels out for a few hours, and then afterwards it drops to like -30 until you get another fix. And then every so many times that we do that, there's a roll to see if you gain an addiction. All under the auspices and the stress of yellow alert must be maintained at all times.
I was gonna say, I was reminded of when my friend had to perform Firewatch for like a week,
Yeah.
and he started popping gram caffeine tablets, a whole entire gram. He visited his he went to medical once for something as like a physical checkup. They took his blood pressure and was like, you taking caffeine stimulants or something? Caffeine supplements or something? He's like, yeah. Like, well, you gotta stop. Your blood pressure's like, you should be dead.
Yeah, that checks out.
What do you mean? I feel great.
starts bordering on hyperaggression.
Yeah.
Great! How dare you tell me something else?
Drops down and does 20 just to show him how great he feels.
Exactly. And then as soon as he starts to stand up, he just passes out, smacks his skull on the ground. Anyway, way off topic now.
Yeah. So, have we ever settled on an official rank for you, Master Reinhardt? I feel like
Uh,
it.
Isn't he the master at arms or something of that sort, Lord Captain?
Yes, but that's sort of
Is
outside of
is
the.
Warner trying to talk and not able to talk? Or am I hearing shit?
I can
Okay,
talk.
never mind. Sorry.
Can you
I
hear
heard.
me?
I hear you. Yeah, I thought I heard something too. I was like, ooh, did we step on him as he's having comms problems? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I know he has the title Master at Arms, but that's not. That's typically like a
More a
title,
duty
not
position
necessarily
than a rank, yeah.
right. And so I was wondering if a rank should be given out to one who's training and leading the troops on board the ship.
Yeah, I am let us say that well, there are a couple of options here. Hauptmann Commandant sounds very nice to me. But Major also has a certain ring to it, what with it also sort of meaning important. And I kind of like that. Uh, but it should definitely be a rank at which I am not stuck behind a fucking desk.
Ah,
Because that is my idea of hell.
Your
I know we are
Hauptmann
currently
Commandant.
traveling through the warp, and there's
mhm.
some
So
hellishness involved in that, but I assure you, even though I have experienced things with the demonic and have lasting memories of how deeply unpleasant that was, I would still prefer it to being stuck behind ein desk.
So point of factor or point of note out of character. Um, if you guys recall the I believe it's called ship rolls in Into the Storm. Rank 3 has Master at Arms and also Master of Ordnance, which usually goes to the Archmilitant, doesn't necessarily have to. And while these titles are more title sounding, I guess technically they're also could be considered as ranks. Like rank is in like military rank. So however you want to divide that up, digest it, etc., is obviously up to you. But
I thought of Master at Arms as more of a title and more of a duty and less of a
well,
rank.
it says those in this third rank aboard a starship are still command staff, usually those given specialized duties. And then the Master at Arms, it talks about the Master at Arms is an actual role position on Navy ships. It's usually like senior Marine, more
Yeah,
or
and
less.
like Army, it's typically like Command Sergeant Majors, but like
Yeah, and then
they're
Master
still
of
Command
Ordnance,
Sergeant Majors.
and then Master of Ordnance is basically the gun deck captain, or gun captain, or in modern parlance, the tactical officer.
At least in the U.S. Navy, Master at Arms is apparently commonly a Master Chief Petty Officer.
Yes.
So Reinhardt could, in fact, be Master Chief.
All he needs now is his light power armor. And what's the AI chick's name? Cortana.
Yeah.
He pulls up his phone. Cortana, can you give me some light power armor?
I know that there's something in
So
the
what you're saying
Mechanicus
is,
history about artificial intelligence being bad, but hear me out. Mr. Icarus, what if you gave it a chick voice?
He gets a servo skull with a chick voice with a female vox emitter.
you,
and
like
a
a
blue
bob
wig.
puts like a bob cut wig on it.
Yeah.
And it just follows him around, nagging him. It's like his personal assistant. Mr. Reinhardt, you have a meeting to be at.
You get your ancient gaming references mixed up, and it just follows him around, going, "Hey, listen, hey,
No,
hey,
no, not Navi.
All right, let's move on. Otherwise, we're never gonna get anywhere tonight.
All right, so I am, unless someone objects, going to. So first off, I got to get this joke in. So what you're saying is, being behind a desk make you feel like you're in jail. So something like a colonel would make you feel like you're in the clink.
That was bad. That was really bad.
But
Yeah,
What was
he's
it?
the other kind of German. I'm the friendly beer-swilling German.
What was the name
Not
of
the
that
angry
fucking show?
one.
Why can't I think of it now?
Hogan's Heroes. Is
Yeah,
that what
there
you're
you
trying-
go. I knew exactly what you were talking about. I just couldn't think of the damn name. Anyway,
So I'm thinking that given the nature of the assignment, that Major Reinhardt does not seem out of order for his official ranking.
No,
I feel like there's a joke in there too, but go ahead.
because I think because there can't be two captains on a ship,
Correct.
so he could not be captain.
Correct.
And it would put him above all of the armsmen officers, I believe.
Yes, because your arms. Well, so this another thing that we never really got into because it never really came up and was never truly important. You have a crew of 26,000, which means you have of that 26,000 some 2,600 armsmen. That is roughly a regiment. In theory, a regiment, of course, is commanded by a colonel. And you're obviously not going to have any captains. They're all going to be like senior
But they're
lieutenants or some shit.
But they're disseminated enough across the ship that they probably answered to subordinates to the seneschal before we had a master at arms.
Probably. Well, their chain of command would be, yeah, they would be various
The master at arms
lieutenants,
is
and
over
then
all the
and then the
master at
master at
arms
arms.
literally is literally over all of them. But like that's
Yeah.
his title, so I just want to give him a rank.
Yeah. So
Um,
actually, yeah, major would work because then you have the major, and then you've got like about a dozen lieutenants or senior lieutenants that have subordinate lieutenants and sergeants that do all of the grunt stuff with the grunts.
Right. So Major Reinhardt it is. Well, Major Reinhardt, we have this, and I pull out the best crafted monosword. I said
Is that the one you stole from Haderach? I'm sorry.
Acquired.
I did
Spoils
not
of War.
steal.
Spoils of War.
Gear drift is a gift.
Oh. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have I basically as part of the meeting ask Major Reinhardt if it should be given in a no nonsense here you get a sword by the way, or if it should be more of a ceremonial like recognition of the continued performance of the special squadron, that their officer in charge is being given a monosword.
The seneschal will look to Reinhardt to see what his response is before saying anything himself.
You know, if you want to give it some pomp and circumstance, I'm not against that, as long as it doesn't take overly long.
On that note, Lord Captain, perhaps a 3-hour ceremony, after which, of course, drinks mandatory appearance by senior officers and staff, is the only way to ensure that both your subordinate receive his gift in the proper manner, but also showing to the men in the crew of the ship. I'm totally talking shit here. Please, just a simple, quick ceremony should be sufficient. I can't believe I let that go for so long.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Reinhardt is gonna look at him and say, "You had me worried. I'll be honest."
It's the deadpan. I've been practicing the deadpan.
Well, that concludes the meeting for then. And I think I've got obviously do we want to just hand wave that we had the ceremony, or do we want to make that some other scene?
We can make that like one of the other in between. Like not
That's what I
actually
was
do
asking.
it. But yeah.
Because aside from that, I think I have one other RP thing that I'd like to do.
Okay. Well, in that case, somebody give me 2 1d100 rolls, please, because not to rush, but we're running low and we've got 5 more to do.
Oh god.
Who made the last two? It was one.
I think Shinigami's getting into it here. Oh wow, 70.
And 7.
70 and 7. Well, that's All's Well or Warp Storm. Which evil
All's Well.
Yeah, I thought so. All right. All right. Give me 2 more. Go ahead and do, since that one was so easy, give me 2 more. Come on,
more?
Icarus,
Okay.
Alturios.
So since we are running short on time, we hand wave the ceremony. Is there anybody that would do anything at the ceremony, or just ceremony is fairly normal ceremony?
It's probably just a normal ceremony.
Okay.
I
Well,
can't think of anything.
All right, spontaneous inhuman combustion or psychic predators.
Isn't this the second time we've had this choice?
Yeah.
I'll light on fire. Sure, why not?
All right, fire it is. I need a 59 to detect it. Nice. And then a 92. Yeah, 92 to get around it. And then Jace 85 to get around this one.
My next RP session will be with Jebediah Fell or whatever you named him.
33.
Yes, your prisoner / no, I'm sorry, he's not a prisoner, he's a ward.
Guest.
Foster. Whatever. And I believe, yes, Jebediah fell. Because his cousin Matthias is now the leader of the house.
For now.
Ostensibly. On paper.
Actually, on paper, I'm the
Paper
leader
would
of
be
the
you,
house.
yeah. But you have to enforce that too. Yeah. So Jebediah shows up, and I imagine he's got like some of his trappings of rank, but they're somewhat subdued because he's basically a prisoner, I believe is the gist of it.
Yeah. Something akin to house arrest. He's in his quarters. He gets whatever he needs. And he's included in all of the officers' dinners.
Ah. And I assume that when you summon him, that this is not dinner time.
No.
So yeah, he'll show up, probably escorted by at least one of your armsmen. Lord Captain, it's a little early for dinner. What do I owe the pleasure of your company?
Now, just for the record, we are having his quarters cleaned by the other fell, right?
Well, he's a combat servitor. Oh, the first fell.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucas fell, but we don't need to know that anymore. I just made that name now. So.
Okay. So Lucas.
Yes,
Lucas,
that's right. Because the other fell was like almost his assigned servant.
Yep.
But it's not assigned to him actually. It just takes care of his shit.
Yeah, comes in, cleans his
Literally.
Yeah, literally cleans his bathroom and everything. I'm sorry, his head. No, that sounds wrong. Anyway, Lord Captain, to what do I owe this pleasure of your company?
I thought the family was incestuous before.
How dare you, sir?
Tell your second cousin / wife that I'll give her my cordialest greetings.
All right, back on track.
Oh yes, back on track. So, what did we name this universe's version of BattleTech last session, or the other warp travel session? I forgot.
Goodness, I don't remember now. What did you guys call it? Battle Mechs?
What? It was Battle Titans, I believe.
Battle Titans.
Battle Titans.
Yes.
So yes, basically I'm making small chat with him and playing, and I'm either teaching or playing Battle Titans with him.
This is gonna be hilarious.
Robojacks.
It quickly comes to your attention that he is a far more skilled player than you are. But he never says or does anything to capitalize on that. He is better than you by a long shot. But he never plays it up, he never rubs it in, but he consistently defeats your mechs every fucking time. And pointedly. If you've ever played against Grimdark James, you've been beaten by Grimdark James.
I'm just wondering why this wasn't a contested roll.
I just thought it would be funny if I rolled well, and I did.
If
you want to roll to see how close to a 10
did you roll? Did you roll a 10 on a 10 or a 10 on 100?
10 out of 10.
Huh.
You go ahead and roll 1d10 if you want, just to see what you do. I'm actually
Okay.
kind of curious now.
Well, that doesn't seem like an opposed roll if it's just straight tens.
I'm just
Oh, well.
roll. It's just a 1 die roll. It's nothing special. Yeah. So 60% of the time you hold your own, but 40% of the time he absolutely destroys you.
Okay.
And I mean, it's again, he never gets like boisterous or loud or even really like congratulatory or anything. He just
Mhm.
decimates you. It's disgusting.
Clearly, he is astute in this game.
Yes. Yeah.
What a nerd.
He's definitely a nerd. You almost get the feeling that this is part of House Fell's doctrine, that they go through some of this training or some of this tabletop wargaming shit.
Yeah. Like maybe you can't command troops on the battlefield till you're able to beat people at battle titans. You know how
Battle
some people are
Titans
about.
Some people
and
are
this other
like
thing.
that about chess.
That's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's a graduation. So you start at Alpha Strike, which is probably called Alpha Shrike, and then you go to Battle Titans, and then from there you go to something that involves 3D movement, 3-dimensional movement, and vector consolidation. They call that one Aeromech. No, that doesn't make any sense. They would call that one Aeronautica.
I was gonna say isn't there a Warhammer in universe game for like
Uh,
I'm sure there
Battlefleet
are
Gothic.
several.
Battlefleet Gothic, but it doesn't have, as far as I know, it doesn't have 3-dimension movement and vector consolidation.
Ugh.
But Alterios, that was a great response. I love the idea, but I would hate to actually play it.
I have played. I think it's Stratops where you get to use
Yeah.
warships and BattleTech.
Yep.
The
And-
vector thing is absolutely terrible.
Yeah. And consolidating your vectors, part of your normal movement plans, is
What's your vector, Victor?
yep.
Uh,
It can get. Listen, 1G thrust in that direction, you add up velocity fast.
I was gonna say at least once in every Mega Mech game where I've tried it, I've lost at least one ship due to bungling into another.
I've definitely
You
had
keep-
ships fly off this map because I forgot
Yeah,
to
that
account for
too.
what their current vectors were, and didn't give enough time to decelerate, in the appropriate directions. At any rate,
Anyway,
we've got 3 more encounters. You think we can get through them all?
Yeah.
All right.
I can do that. I gotta
Let me get 2 1D100s, please.
I hit the button, nothing happened.
There it goes.
No, I hit it again.
Oh. 66. Warp Storm.
$66 should be a demon manifesting.
Oh, 66. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. 66 or 25. 25 is Delusion Mirage. A psychic encounter.
And so
Warp
Warp
Storm.
Storm's physical. I say we do the physical encounter. Any
Yep,
objections?
Warp Storm.
No, go
Physical.
for it.
All right, rolling 59. That is 4 degrees of failure. We hit it.
Does she need a fate?
Yeah, she has 1 fate point herself with 3.
Well, I thought there was the first failure. Then you had another chance to.
So I failed it by more than 2 degrees of success because I needed 2 degrees
Oh.
of failure. That said, if anybody wants to give her a fate point, that would be helpful
I'll do it.
because
I
I have
still got
1
3
and
in
3
the room,
encounters
so.
left.
I thought it already. Yeah, I've heard 2 people offer to give her a fate
Okay,
point. I
I'll
just
take
wanted
1.
to clarify.
59 is what I needed. That is 66, so I don't get a bonus, but I could still attempt to avoid. So that will be navigation warp plus 20, which is 72. Success. Jace, make your 85 roll, please. That looks like a success. That is a success. All right, so that's one of those. 2 more 1D100s, please. We're going to speed chest these last couple of encounters. 91. Temporal hole.
Nice.
Or 52, spontaneous inhuman combustion.
Combust!
All right, rolling a 59.
Isn't combust a... Okay, I thought combust was a psychic.
Let's see.
Physical!
The way he said that.
We've
All
done
right,
this before.
92.
Let's get physical.
Ooh. Oh, it's a 6. Never mind. All right, Jace, 70. Roll your 85.
Yes,
Or
something
whatever the hell
about
it is.
this situation puts me in mind of the name Olivia Newton-John, but I'm not entirely certified.
Oops. Get over here. All right. And for our last encounter,
Oh,
two
yes,
1d100s, please.
I believe I remember the ancient Olivia Newton-John. Didn't she discover gravity?
Don't get it.
Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh, yes. All right, 57, spontaneous inhuman combustion, or I don't know, all's well. Let me guess.
All's
I'll
well.
take the all.
All's well.
All's well.
All right, now, pretty sure we just pop out of the warp, but let me double check.
No.
Yeah, pretty much. Accuracy of re-entry,
Or
navigator's
would it be more of a
estimates
squelchy
equal,
pop?
and maintain steady course. Ship may translate when ready, and blip. You blip back into reality.
For the record, can our ship sound like a zipper opening up as it transits out of the warp?
No, absolutely not.
Is Perilos with us?
Yes. Well, I believe it is because I believe the last thing I heard was Perilous was escorting.
It was basically linked with us, so
Yep.
all of our piloting and navigation checks apply to them as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. I want to point out this is obviously out of character. This version of Repton 4 is nothing like what might be otherwise found in the Owlcat computer RPG game Rogue Trader. Apparently, Repton 4 has a significantly different write-up in that game, which may or may not be more canon than our game, but whatever. We're going to go with this version. You arrive at the outer edge of the Repton 4 system. There is, at the core of the system, a vigorous white star burning steadily and bright. And then there are a number of planets. There is Repton Pyrus, the innermost planet. After several hours of scanning, etc., you see a precursory note that this planet is a small world with a large asteroid captured in orbit around it. There is no atmosphere on the planet. Surface temperatures are incredibly hot, as it is much too close to its sun to be anything more than a constant fire hazard. Next out is Repton Temporalis, the second world of the system, a small world with no moons or other objects. Appears to have a thin atmosphere, except for the part where that atmosphere is corrosive, and the surface temperatures range from unbearably hot without protection to absolutely fucking scorching, even with protective gear. And then lastly, the other main world of note here. Let me double check the rest of my notes because it carries on. And this, finally, Repton Primus, the main world of note. A large world, contains an asteroid in orbit. An atmosphere that appears to be conducive to life. And
But only appears that way.
And it is a cold world, however, some protective gear is required, but not as much as one might be expected for a frozen ice world. A thin equatorial band hosts what appears to be some swamps and forests. And much forestation exists up from the equator towards the poles. Liquid water exists here, but there is only one major landmass and no major bodies of water. So basically a bunch of swamps and forests.
On an ice world?
On a cold world.
Yes.
Okay.
Toward the poles, much iciness.
Yes, much icy, much
Towards
frost.
the equator,
Swampy
swamp.
Swamp and forest. There does appear to be some
The
bioscience
population
here.
is nothing but hillbillies.
What's that?
I said the population is nothing but hillbillies.
You know what? That actually checks
Swamp
out.
people.
And they all have stills in their backyard. some in the front yard for that matter.
Well, given the remote nature of travel, they would need to all have stills in their back or front yards in order to facilitate the production of whatever alcoholic beverages they like to consume.
On that note, whatever else the Repton system has for us, we will determine that next week. 200 experience points for everybody tonight.
Yeah.
200.
200.
Which should finally put us up into that next rank.
Yeah, you're welcome. I still got to. I meant to actually spend the XP for Marcellus and Anastasia, and I just fucking forgot.
Yeah.
Actually,
you got a lot of other games on your
put me
plate,
up into the next rank.
What'd you say, Darius?
That does not put me up into the next rank.
What'd you do? Miss it by like 50 or something?
I am at 9850.
So you're actually 150 short.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at
Next week.
90. I was at 9,900, I believe already.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you guys remember, Darius is about 150 to
Oh,
200 behind because he
I'm
missed
sorry.
like the
I'm sorry.
initial.
I wasn't trying to rub that in, Darius. I was genuinely confused.
He was rubbing it. Throw some dice at him.
We all know how Rev feels about friction.
He likes it. Anyway.
He creates it.
What's
Yes.
a little sandpaper on the bottom between friends?
Whoa, that's a bit much. All right, moving on. Let's talk about some feedback, outro-based comments. Alterios, you're the one with a weird sleep schedule, and by weird I mean closest to normal and several hours ahead of most of us. Well, me. What do you got for us? Feedback, outro, comments.
These warp encounters went a lot quicker than the other ones have. I like it.
We're getting them streamlined through repetition, so there's that. Is that. Especially once I figure out that. Well, that and like the bonuses really help because, oh, look, we just have to roll under a really large number and we're good. And we don't have to worry about, oh shit, there's blue horror shits trying to eat my face. And the warp drive just blew up. The spontaneous inhuman combustion came up like 4 times tonight.
I was gonna say one of these days we're gonna get really unlucky with the rolls, and the Gellerfield is just gonna decide to leave.
Gellerfield's just like, I'm on my union mandated break. You guys got this. I'll be back in 20.
So I'm just curious with the way we've been. What would it take for the Gellerfield to fail? Because a lot of the rolls say if Gellerfield is non-functional, but we've never been.
If you've been in ship combat, for instance, and the Gellerfield has taken a hit, and then you have to escape and jump into the warp, and now the Gellerfield is fucked up, not working properly, not repaired in time, and here's your warp encounter with psychic predators and inhuman spontaneous combustion.
I think also going through that warp storm and then taking
the warp
damage.
storm would have had me rolling for critical hits. Doesn't even roll damage. It's like just roll on critical hits and see what happens. It doesn't actually say that, but you get the idea. You guys can all have access to the Navis Primer.
Yeah.
So you can see that table. Rev, what do you got? Feedback, outro, comments?
Not much, just fairly straightforward. I did actually want to do something different with the member of House Fell, but I forgot during the session.
With Jebediah or the Servitors?
No, it's Jebediah.
Okay. You'll be going in the warp again soon. Unless you guys plan on doing something at Repton, it's mostly a waypoint.
Let me just say it involves him and Jeff the Chef.
But Ogren is not going to eat him.
I never said that.
Okay.
Put him in the stew.
Put him in the stew. Make a soup out of him. I love that Jeff the Chef is getting so much love from you guys.
He's like the party pet that we actually don't forget about.
Yeah. Darius, what do you got? Outro, feedback, comments? What do you got?
I'm glad we have the ships and crew ratings card now.
Yeah, I'm glad we found it. Thank you, Rev, by the way, for finding that, because that was really bugging me from time to time that like there had to be a way to increase the crew skill. Had to be a way.
Nope, suffer.
Yep.
Yeah, suffer. They're stuck at 30 forever.
Other than that, good session.
Can we have it so that whenever we up the crew rating, it also ups some stat on the troops by 5?
On the who? Oh, the
Well, I
special
don't.
troops?
What system do we have for the special troops? Because like you've once out of a
Oh,
number of combat
so
sessions, you've randomly granted them a level up. But I'm
yeah, I
asking,
gave
how
them
are we
like.
gonna have?
So I
What
gave.
I'm mo-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what I'm more specifically asking is, do we have yet even a rough system for how they are going to level? Is it
Yes.
going to be strictly after combat encounters? Is it going to be the fact that Warner has been spending, Reinhardt has been spending a significant amount of time training them, as well as my character going down to the firing range and offering tips and whatnot, which we have all
Oh,
made canon before?
so when it comes to the ship's troops, especially the ones that like your elite squads or whatever, every now and again, when I feel narratively appropriate, or at the completion of a segmentum, I will dump some points into their various characteristics.
Okay.
And for instance, I don't remember specifically what I did last time, but I think I gave them like a +5 ballistic, +2 or 3 weapon, and then like
Right.
perception and something else. I may have given them like +1 or +2 or something like that.
And what I'm asking, is there a way for us to push that harder if we so choose to spend acquisition rolls or some other thing?
It would have to be in some sort of like acquisition or some other thing done in game, whether mechanic or narrative.
Right. Well,
In
that's
order
what
for
I
me to
was
justify it, I
inquiring
guess.
about.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
What did you say,
So
Rev?
So I said, is there a mechanic for us to do that? And your response was, yes, there is a mechanic.
Oh, no, yeah. So basically, if you guys do something like you spend a significant amount of time with him, like training sessions or find gear for them.
Right. Could we, for example, say that instead of a crew rating increase, one of us spends an average acquisition and
Yeah,
it's focused specifically on boosting some stat for the by
yeah, I
10
could
for
see
the.
that. I could see
Okay.
that. That makes sense. It may not necessarily, it's not exactly rules is written, but it makes sense in the way that rules intended. So
Right. So if you'll give me some sort of rarity scale on that at some point soon, so
I would, in fact, what we can do is uh run it almost the exact same way. It's just that instead of improving the crew skill, it's going to improve your ship's troops this attribute by 5.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Warner, you usually give me some pretty good feedback. What do you got for me tonight? Nothing.
I
have
had
nothing for
fun,
you.
though I will admit that I was absolutely terrified when I saw the number of markers that you put on the board. It is a good thing that we have gotten better at getting through those, because that could have been a long couple of sessions at the rate that we had been going.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, a nice night. We got our rolls in and got underway relatively quickly, and I appreciate that you know, at times pushed us to move along where we might have been lingering.
I
So,
am always, well, I shouldn't say always, but I'm usually aware of when I am drifting from what I want to accomplish. And obviously, I'm watching the time too. So I'm
mhm.
like, well, we've got 3 more things, and we're already sidetracking about Jeff cooking somebody. So let's get back on track here.
Yep.
I'm not
So-
having Jeff cook anybody.
It's just a joke as for example. But yeah, no, I do, I do like the idea of having the tokens so I know how many encounters we have to go through. I didn't really think about the potential stress impact on the players of, oh my god, that's a lot of encounters. But also it gives you guys an idea of like, okay, this could be scary. Because at the end of the day, you are playing a character in the warp for a significant amount of time.
I'm having Jeff cook part of somebody.
God, stop. We're not cooking people or parts of people.
Cannibalism is usually frowned upon.
Yes, that's what corpse starch is for.
I was gonna say you could let him do it and then just slap a bunch of corruption points on him.
You could, but given the option, most people are not going to choose to do that.
I
In the
know,
warf-
but no,
in the-
slap corruption points on Rev.
Oh,
because he's
gotcha. Yeah. I could.
In the warp, no one can hear you scream.
All right, that's enough. We're out of here, my friends. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you have, of course, please hit all of the buttons: the like, subscribe, share, etc., etc., etc. Also, if you are live in a stream chat, in a live stream, you can type into the stream chat !Discord. It will give you the server link, address, invite thing that will drop you into our Discord server. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find that link in the description below. Come hang out on the Discord, see what's new and exciting, what's coming soon. For instance, 2 things. One, coming soon, The Expanse role-playing game, a one-shot with Luke Labs, as he's known on Discord, as the game master, and the rest of the Alien RPG crew playing characters in that game. So that's gonna be a lot of fun, I hope, because I'm definitely excited for that. And then the other thing, Elite Dangerous. I'm getting back into it. If you have anybody, either yourself or friends you know that are interested, I could use more people helping me move shit from one part of the galaxy to another part of the galaxy as I dive into this colony builder thing that Frontier Development recently released for Elite Dangerous. So hit me up and join the squadron. Krieg Dominion Gaming something or other. I don't know what I called it. I called it something. I'll figure it out later. That said, that's a lot of stuff to blurb out. So if you join the Discord, you'll know about all that stuff. Although that is the first time I mentioned Elite Dangerous in about a year. And I didn't mention it in Discord yet. So anyway, let's get out of here. That is it for us here tonight. Stay safe out there, my friends. This world is a grim, dark world. So make sure you're doing what you got to do to take care of you and yours. And as for me and mine, we're out of here. See you next time. Have a good one.
Auf Wiedersehen!
I love the growl.